Hello, welcome to another video from the Our Study series, a series where I go over loads of different ways you can improve your study and health and just life in general. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the podcasts that I listen to and why I think podcasts are something that everyone should listen to. So, let's get into it. The podcasts that I listen to are New Scientist Weekly, Physics World Weekly, The Science of Happiness, TED Health, TED Talks Daily, and the Joe Rogan Experience. For the New Scientist podcast, I listen to them because they sort of help me consolidate what I've read in the New Scientist magazine, which I try to read every week. And if I don't, I usually just listen to the podcasts because they sort of cover everything that I need to know. So they sort of have like the newest, most groundbreaking scientific research that's happening. So I would definitely recommend the New Scientist podcast to anyone who likes to be up on the latest stuff that's going on in the science world. It's sort of like a popular science-arised version of journals like Nature and all those sorts of like scientific journals. So if you like it like dumbed down, but it's still like quite a high level, then I definitely recommend New Scientist, the magazine, or the podcast too. Yeah, anyone who likes science. The next one is Physics World Weekly. I don't listen to this one as much as the New Scientist one. I usually just like scroll through and see if there's anything that I find interesting, and if I do, I'll listen to the podcast on that, and that's sort of for like all the physics nerds out there, I guess. The episodes are about 40 minutes long. Usually, if it's like something I'm really interested in, I'll probably listen to the entire episode. Otherwise, I'll just listen to a short snippet of one. The next podcast I enjoy listening to is The Science of Happiness, and this is one I've only just started recently listening to. I heard it recommended on a TED Health podcast, so I thought I'd check it out. And I've listened to about 2 podcasts so far, which is like not that many, but they're really interesting. And basically what they do each episode, they get like a happiness guinea pig is what they call it, and they get that person to try out doing something that has scientifically been proven to improve your happiness. And they do that for like a week or whatever. And then they come back, tell them about the experience, and basically you can see how someone else has benefited from implementing something in their life, and then you can listen to that experience and try and implement it in your own life, which I think is great. And the show also goes into all the science behind what the stuff does, and yeah. So I definitely recommend listening to that if you want to improve your happiness and just well-being and mental health and life in general. Yeah. And then speaking of TED Health, that is another podcast that I listen to. I really love like nutrition and health and like that sort of side of stuff in terms of podcasts, and that's my favorite sort of genre to listen to. So TED Health sort of like concentrates all of that into one thing, and I've listened to like every single episode on that podcast. They're just really great, and they're quite short as well. They're like less than 20 minutes, usually about 10 minutes long. They just cover a lot of interesting things, like some things you don't even really need to know, but it's still really great to have that like background knowledge. And the TED Health podcast has like a sub-podcast within it called How to Be a Better Human. I've also started listening to that. I think there's only been like 1 or 2 episodes for that, but that sort of links into like the Science of Happiness podcast. I don't know if they're like connected, but they're sort of similar in the content they give, because it's like advice on how to be a better human and how to be happy. It's like sort of intrinsically intertwined, if that's even a way of putting it. And the next one is TED Talks Daily, which is basically just loads of TED Talks that have been taken, I think, and turned into podcasts, but they also get like other people in to talk about what they're doing in like research or just stuff in the world, I guess. This one's not really as like sciencey or nutrition-y lifestyle based, but it's great like general knowledge and finding out about current events and what people are doing in the world at the moment. So if you like to know that sort of stuff, then I definitely recommend the TED Talks podcast. Oh, and it's called TED Talks Daily. So basically there's a podcast every single day. Some of them are quite short, some of them are a bit longer because they take actual TED Talks, which are about 18 minutes long. So they sort of like vary, and there's always like something on there. I mean, I don't listen to every single one. I only listen to what I think I'll find interesting. Sometimes I'll do like a random one that maybe seems intriguing but I'm not that interested in, because it's always great to learn about stuff that you're not interested in, because you may actually find out that you enjoy studying that sort of stuff. So yeah. And the last podcast is the Joe Rogan Experience, and I've listened to a few of his podcasts. They're about like 3 hours long. I think I've listened to the Elon Musk one, and I forgot who the girl she interviewed was, but she was like a nutritionist or something along those lines. And I also listened to the vegan versus non-vegan one. That was interesting. So yeah, the podcasts are like really long, but he interviews all these famous people. Like, I think one just came out with like Demi Lovato, Elon Musk. I mean, it's great. I love Elon Musk, so to be able to listen to that podcast was like the most amazing thing in the entire world. But yeah, the Joe Rogan Experience, it's great. And he has like a sub podcast on like health and lifestyle, so that's sort of the one I'm interested in. And there's so many podcasts on there, so I'm sort of just like working my way through all of them. And yeah, I think that's like all the podcasts that I listen to, and like a breakdown and summary of what's in each one. And the next thing I want to go over is why I listen to podcasts. Basically, the reason I listen to podcasts is because there's so much you can learn from listening to them. I listen to them like when I'm running, going for walks, training like hockey or weight training. Basically whenever I'm doing something that like it's okay to like multitask and sort of like have it running in the background. I don't listen to podcasts when I study because I need to focus on the work at hand, but when you're doing something like running, you're not really focusing on the running. You can listen to like what's going on in your headphones. I just find podcasts like a great way to multitask and be productive at the same time, and like do two things at once, like teach yourself while also doing exercise. I think everyone should really try at least listening to podcasts. I used to think they were like for old grannies, but I actually think they're so interesting, and there's so much you can learn from them that you wouldn't learn at school. And that's definitely something I love doing, because some of the stuff we learn at school is literally just for the sake of like being at school, whereas being able to educate yourself about stuff that you find interesting is so important. And I think like being able to realize that has been really beneficial for me. I also get to tell my friends loads of random facts that I hear on my podcasts, so they sort of have to put up with that, but I think they get used to it. I think that's everything for today's video. If you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, click subscribe, and if you like this video and think any of your friends could benefit from it, send it to them. And yeah, have the most amazing day. Make sure to stay safe and stay kind, and most of all, be happy. Thank you.